This Tuesday, the United Nations General Assembly High-Level Week 2025 continues with the first day of general debate as world leaders explore solutions to intertwined global challenges. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas promised to hold elections in his country 1 year after the end of Israeli army's genocide in Gaza. And Ecuadorian security forces violently repressed peaceful protests organized by the Confederation of Indigenous Nationalities. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. On Tuesday, during the first part of the general debate of the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly, heads of state and government ministers and advocates discussed possible solutions to global challenges related to the promotion of peace, security, and sustainable development. World leaders have referred to the challenge of maintaining peace and ensuring human rights in a global scenario marked by polarization. However, they emphasized the urgency of strengthening ties that allow for the coordination of common agendas to address structural inequalities and ongoing violent conflicts. In this regard, several speeches have denounced the genocide to which the Palestinian people are subjected, demanding an urgent solution. And now we go to New York City with our correspondent in the U.S., Jorge Gestoso, who has all the latest details on the first day of debates at the United Nations General Assembly. Hello, Gestoso. What news do you have for us at this hour?
At this very time, I tell you that the afternoon session of the first day of the general debate is still going on, full force. The president of Uruguay, Yamandu Orsi, was already given his speech at the General Assembly. He put emphasis that Uruguay wants to push multilateralism. He denounced the conflicts around the world, especially he was mentioning the Middle East and Ukraine, and also put emphasis as Uruguay as a peace mediator, a peace country that has a very big reputation about participating in the mediation of conflicts. Expected in this afternoon session, President of Colombia, Gustavo Petro, we anticipate that he's going to denounce the decision of the U.S. to decertify Colombia as a country that fights against the drug trafficking and the drug production. He said that there's no country that can decide that has a right to put their nose in other countries' business, and he always have already denounced the U.S. as the biggest consumption of drugs. In the morning session, it was a historic morning because, as usual, the opening session was in the hands of Brazil. President Lula was opening the session and he was putting special emphasis in democracy, in sovereignty, also denouncing what he believes that the structure of the UN needs to be revised, especially the Security Council. And on the other hand, he was putting very much emphasis in his fight against climate change and has to do with environment. After President Lula, President Donald Trump was his turn. He was very critical of the UN, was very critical of the decision of recognizing Palestine as a state, a recognition that was increased in the last 48 hours. 12 countries was joining the list of other countries of the world that recognize the state of Palestine. Now we're talking about 152 countries in the world out of the 193 members of the UN. That means 3/4 of the planet is pushing for that. And Definitely President Trump repeated the litany that we have heard for many, many times of Prime Minister Netanyahu, that to recognize and to try to help the government and the state of Palestine is a synonym of push for terrorism, something that they has no foundation. So far, the case of Palestine, the case of peace, the case of multilateralism is so far the issues that are being taking place in this first session, and throughout the week we are going to expect other countries of our region, Latin America, taking the stand here at the United Nations. We get back to you now.
Thank you, Gestoso, for all the latest information, all of the highlights of the first session of this first day of debate in this United Nations General Assembly. We will keep in contact, and after this report, we have a short break coming up. But first, remember, you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. On Tuesday, the Palestinian government described the wave of international recognition registered in the last few hours as a historic step towards peace. The Foreign Ministry has expressed in a statement the deep gratitude of the Palestinian people and government for showing their courage and willingness to strengthen and expand bilateral relations. The statement wanted to use this moment to make a new call to all those countries that have not yet recognized Palestine to take this transcendental step as a way of safeguarding the two-state solution. It has also asked them to take a decisive role in the effort to end the war of extermination carried out by Israel in Gaza, where in the last few hours 18 civilians have been killed, 3 of them children who died from the starvation as a consequence of the genocide. And Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has promised to hold elections in his country 1 year after the end of the Israeli army's genocide in Gaza. The announcement was made during a high-level international conference held as part of the United Nations General Assembly. In addition to the elections, the head of state committed to implementing a series of reforms, such as the education system reform. The leader, who was unable to attend the conference in person due to the United States denying him a visa, assured that the goal is to build a modern and democratic Palestinian state. With this announcement, he responds to the international community's calls for changes in governance. And we stay in Palestine, where the United Nations-backed aid group are struggling to deliver basic survival aid to the people of Gaza due to persistent access restrictions and attacks on humanitarian convoys. Various experts from the international organization emphasize that Israel's efforts to prevent international aid to the Palestinians represent a clear violation of human rights and are the main cause of the current state of famine and malnutrition in the enclave. According to aid distributors, the situation in the Gaza Strip is becoming unsustainable due to logistical failures deliberately caused by Netanyahu's Zionist army, attacks on the organization's facilities, the targeting of civilians seeking food, and the constant displacement caused by the genocidal operation aimed at taking the city of Gaza. Thousands of people were evacuated from northern Philippine villages on Monday as one of this year's strongest typhoons threatened to cause flooding and landslides. According to the country's authorities, Super Typhoon Ragasa has reached sustained winds of around 215 kilometers per hour, with gusts of up to 295 when it first made landfall on Panuitan Island of Cagayan province. The country's national defense forces have issued a warning about the natural phenomenon and are urging the population to take shelter, secure doors and windows, stock up on supplies and limit travel. In this sense, Super Typhoon Ragasa is approaching Hong Kong, prompting the closure of schools and many businesses. About 700 flights at Hong Kong International Airport have been cancelled as operations are suspended from Tuesday evening until early Thursday to ensure safety. The Hong Kong Observatory has issued a typhoon signal number 8, its third highest warning, signaling serious hurricane strength winds and heavy rainfall expected to cause flooding and disruptions across the city. Emergency services and local authorities are on high alert, and sea levels are anticipated to surge significantly along coastal areas. Hong Kong is bracing for a typhoon threat comparable to the devastating typhoons Mangkhut in 2018 and Hato in 2017, which caused widespread damage and injuries. And we go to other topics. On Tuesday, China declared the Eurasian Economic Forum 2025 open in the southeastern city of Xi'an. With representatives from 40 nations in attendance, the event will be held until September 25th under the theme Bringing Together the New Dynamics of Eurasia to Create a New Pattern of Sustainable Development. The event includes 13 sub-forums on topics ranging from mining investment and logistics to youth dialogue, traditional Chinese medicine, cultural exchanges and trade promotion. The forum is part of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Year of Sustainable Development, and since its launch in 2005, it has promoted key projects worth more than $137 billion. And we have a second solo break coming up. Before, we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. Let's go to Ecuador. Ecuadorian security forces violently repressed peaceful protests organized by the Confederation of Indigenous Nationalities, CONAIE. In response, the protest intensified, blockades increased, and the call for an indefinite national strike was confirmed. At least 24 people were reportedly arrested, many of whom were attempting to peacefully mediate with violent security officials. There were more than 10 injuries reported in various cities across the country, including 2 military personnel. CONAIE, supported by unions, trade associations, and various Ecuadorian movements, called for a national strike demanding the repeal of Decree 126, which eliminates the diesel subsidy, rejects resources exploitation, and threatens protesters. This Monday, Colombian President Gustavo Petro accused the United States government of killing young people with missiles in the Caribbean in alleged operations against drug trafficking. The Colombian head of state condemned that bombs fall on the impoverished rather than where drugs are massively consumed. Petro's comments took place during his speech at the United Nations General Assembly, where he linked the genocide in Gaza with the criminal operations of Washington in the Caribbean, calling it a demonstration of the power of barbarism. The Colombian president also rejected the United Nations' complicit attitude when referring to the desertification of his country by the United States, asserting that the drug policy has failed because it is not based on science, but rather on whether the substances are produced in the global south or the global north. And the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Venezuela, Iván Gil, recalled that his country is a territory free of drug trafficking, according to reports from the international organizations, and therefore questioned the presence of U.S. militaries in the Caribbean.
Se ha utilizado el pretexto de combatir
using the pretext of fighting illegal drug trafficking in Latin America, specifically South America. Venezuela has been falsely accused of being a facilitator of these routes, and therefore it should be militarily threatened. Well, I want to remind in this United Nations venue that the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime in its 25 reports prior to this year, since 1999, has declared Venezuela a territory free of illicit crops, a territory free of narcotic substance production, and a territory that does not play an important role in money laundering related to narcotic trafficking, that is to say, the main crimes associated with narcotic trafficking, and the main organizations that monitor this situation, have certified Venezuela as a country completely free of these crimes. Venezuela's commitments are absolutely associated to the commitments we have made as an international community to combat drug trafficking.
Hemos asumido como comunidad internacional para el combate del narcotráfico.
The United States Navy attacked a vessel in southwestern Dominican Republic where it allegedly seized 377 packages containing cocaine. Dominican authorities, in close coordination with the U.S. Southern Command and the Joint Interagency Task Force South, detected and attacked a speedboat loaded with narcotics heading for Dominican territory. After destroying the vessel, authorities seized cocaine, but the use of lethal force led to allegations of extrajudicial executions by non-governmental organizations. To date, the United States has attacked 3 vessels suspected of transporting drugs as part of an intrusive mission against drug trafficking in the Caribbean Sea. And this Monday was established the Committee of Solidarity with Venezuela and its fishermen, a Cuban initiative that brought together more than 25 nations in support of the fishermen and fisherwomen of the Bolivarian nation. The meeting took place in Havana, the capital of Cuba, and was headed by the Minister of the Food Industry, Alberto López Díaz. Countries from around the world participated telematically, including Argentina, Trinidad and Tobago, Suriname, Mexico, Canada, Spain, Belgium, and the Congo, among many others. From different parts of the world, the voices of protest coincided with the claims of the Bolivarian nation and all the Caribbean nations threatened by irregular and excessive operations of the United States. Trade unions and maritime workers also joined in rejecting Washington's warmongering impositions. News. We have come to the end of this news brief. Remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Also join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok as well, 24/7. For Telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.